Do my descriptions on where I was arrested at Gateway Church trying to report the death threats, and they're making it hassling me on my search results because none of my videos are coming up. This has happened multiple different times, so I just got tired and thought I'd record it. So I have to go through all my videos, and you see it's a lot because my search results are being manipulated, which is criminal. You can see I put in my information right there. These are not my videos. I've been doing this for years. This is how I search for my videos. The government knows it. The government knows it. So they've created cyberbullying channels where they have my name in it so I can get cyberbullied. So then whenever I'm going, they title their videos Kiana Clark Peace. So I have to get cyberbullied working on my channel. So it was too incriminating. So now they're trying to mix in other things so it does not so obvious that I'm being cyberbullied. And then they try to make it seem like these people are mentally ill in all their environments, in all my environments, so there's not accountability. Because like my neighbor that acted like he was mentally ill and ranting and raging and scared some guy that came to pick me up, and I've never heard from the guy again. He was a weird older guy, and I'm not that disturbed by not speaking to him, but he was trying to hug on me and flirt with me, the older guy. So nonetheless, my neighbor was ranting and raging, and he said, it freaked him out, so he just let me go, which I was grateful because I didn't want him flirting with me to begin with. So then I came out another time, this strange neighbor that comes out multiple different times when I come out, who is probably committing the crimes with my devices, so rants and raves at someone that's not there and then looks directly at me. This is how you not get accountable for felonies. I can't harass you directly because that would be criminal. So I'm going to pretend like I'm mentally ill, and that way I can terrorize you and not be held accountable. It's the same thing for these cyberbullies. And then my family, for whatever caused them to send the death threats, that's like borderline mentally ill. You don't cut up family photos and then mail it to someone and threaten their safety. And I'm completely oblivious. I haven't done nothing wrong, and I'm just being slandered. And then the police department covers for it. And then the officer said he call him back on that day. I did. He didn't answer the phone. I left him a message, and he didn't return my call. There's been a pattern for decades on the police department covering for people that threaten my life. My family has done a lot of scandalous things, and I've never threatened to take anybody's life. And they've done, like I said, a lot of scandalous things to me. I'm getting this nonsense. Now that I'm getting this nonsense. My device is glitching, so I don't know what you've seen. Fu Young is a way that I used to communicate on my abuser's Facebook page, and you wouldn't know that I was saying F-bomb you. So I have my own folder. This is me. They have Pop, Manchester Orchestra, Kiana, and Pool. Let's go in Kiana. Kiana Clark Peace. So that's the title. So I'm looking up this nonsense. When I look up my videos, she's titling all her videos Kiana Clark Peace. So I have to see all this nonsense. There's other sites doing it too. So I looked up stalking. And each time I looked it up in different kind of avenues, for example, harassment friend request turns into stalking nightmare. Friend request, that's basically what happened. Friend request on Facebook started out, I don't know what's happening, but that's exactly what happened in this experience. Brain works and it really is disturbing. Stalking Amanda, the man in the shadows, the fifth estate. But this was kind of disturbing to me. I wanted organizations and, healthier things that were not disturbing. It gets worse. Just one moment. Well, this is pertinent. I'm claiming that my feed is controlled. That's hard to prove. Okay.
Up stalking. Because I just wanted some education on it.
Okay.
And then I saw this.
Shorty, you're dead. Killing, stalking. And then when I listened to some videos on some of it was just really disturbing. It was like the words were manipulated to be toxic, and it was scary. It was like it was low-key threats, and these are things that aren't really realistic.
Killing, stalking, live. Let me put it back on my phone. Okay. Killing, stalking, live stream. Scheduled for 9/16, 2 p.m.
Shorty, you're dead.
That's pretty odd.
So that day, at that precisely this time, I'm panicked because I know I'm getting subliminal messages, but I know nobody will believe my story. There's nowhere I can go on the planet. So there was a mandatory church service I had to attend to be able to live on church property. The church demanded that I not speak to anyone about my abuse and started arguments and put me out when my abuser was mad on a whim. Let people come walk around the tent. Someone punctured my air mattress while I was sitting on it. Then another time I left and came back, it was punctured. Then it forced me to go to Walmart and get violated. They cut off the water in Malice. I went to Dollar General trying to purchase Family Dollar trying to purchase water. They scammed, so I couldn't purchase the water. All kind of other mistreatment, but excluded me from the food pantry, knowing what kind of crisis I was in, and all kind of other things in Malice. So nonetheless, this particular day, there was new people at the church service. And then one of them kept monitoring me and watching me. And it made me uncomfortable. And there was nothing that I could do. So I hurried up after the church service was over. I had some things in my hand and I tried to hurry up and leave. This person followed me and was on my heels. So I'm panicking. Got that message. I'm trying to hurry up and get back in the tent before somebody creates havoc. So then the party leaves the church and then is in the road following me. Well, the way that the church was made, the area I was going was behind the church. There was no reasoning for anyone to be in this area. So the person nonetheless comes that I've never seen before and stands in the middle of the road and watches me, openly stalks me. I'm panicking, tripping all over things, panicking, trying to hurry up and get to the tent. That party's in the middle of the road, still watching me. So I get to the tent. There's this huge water moccasin. I had a padlock on the tent. I didn't have time to record the water moccasin.
I don't know how to live this life. I hear something up under the tent, and there's a snake.
I don't know if the snake was in that bag.
There's not water
and then
around
someone
here
did something to the bag so the snake could be let out.
Here. And then I got the message,
I don't know what was happening.
Live killing at 2. I'm just going to go ahead and get on the bus. Just go somewhere else.
So I called 911. 911 hung up in my face 3 times. I called animal control. They wouldn't answer and never called me back. It was in city limits. No water over there to be found. So it was peculiar that this huge snake, huge. So then nonetheless, I flagged down the police because I didn't get any response to all those other avenues. So the police said, waits till my phone goes dead. He does something on the computer, pretends like he's taking a report. It was like he was controlling my phone. Then my phone glitched, and then it took all the videos off of my phone, whatever was happening. And immediately when my devices malfunctioned and glitched and I couldn't record, the police drove off, leaving me in the problem, and all the video evidence of the conversation we had came up missing. So they had church service that night. I'm depressed because I have to live in this environment, and I think that it's peculiar, this snake incident. The pastor looks dead at me, and he says that the topic is going to be pit viper snakes tonight. Now let this be a warning. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I've already said the story because it's like the church, was willing to be accomplices to attempted murder. I just don't understand how someone with a badge and gun can concoct and enlist you to be a murderer. And then people just can't see, period, that this is wrong. Some kind of way you went to go worship God and you got sidetracked and wanted to be a murderer in the process. There was no guarantee. Things don't always go as planned. That's why you don't need to calm. What if that snake would have got spooked and just bit me? That you don't scheme like this because humans have errors. So the bishop has me sign this contract.
Oh, I wanted the whole paper.
And then he says that he's going to let me use the RV, the Fountain of Living Word Church, where I was being terrorized low-key, like all other kind of environments, the snake incident. He says that he don't want me on the streets. He'll let me use the RV, but just I have to sign this documentation that I won't hold his church responsible for any pain and suffering they cause. I signed the document. Then he changed his mind about the RV and does this.
Yeah, but
whatever you want to tear it up, you can tear it up.
Oh no, but you're giving me a half. This isn't the whole paper.
This is your name. That's all you're.
Why did you want to? I'm not understanding why you want to keep half of it.
Just let me handle my business.
Oh, I want for my safety, since we're not doing the deal.
Your name is not on there, so you're not held accountable. You're not held accountable.
Okay, well, sir. Okay,
okay, it says that Living Word led better Dallas, Texas, responsible for any hurt, sickness, or damage to Miss K in any size, shape, or form. You're giving me half
the water, please, and be gone, and please just take care of your business.
I know, I am trying to take care of my business by getting the contract. We don't need it because I didn't use the RV.
Okay.
You didn't give me the contract. You gave me something.
You have this is your copy right here. This is yours.
Right, but you have your copy. You have your copy.
One you signed.
It's like you were trying to.
Don't argue with me. See,
I'm not arguing with you.
I had problem with.
You said take care of my business. I didn't use the RV, so why are you trying to keep the paper? That I signed any sickness or damage from Miss
Go get your water now.
Oh, okay. I just want to be safe. Here you go.
You have your signature.
I mean, that's not the paper. You're giving me half. This is not going to do anything. You're giving me half, but you kept the part where you said that you're not liable for any damage or any sickness to me, and then you kept the other paper, the contract that you signed. I mean, I should have to be safe.
You're talking back to me now. I just like it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why me being safe makes you uncomfortable.
Do you want to move and call the office?
No, I don't. I don't want people to have an interest in me being safe, an interest in me staying in danger.
Please.
So what was happening, he didn't want to be held accountable for all the damage and mind games that they played, calling me, starting arguments when I was already at a low, forced to live in a tent on the streets, terrified for my life. Someone coming to puncture air mattress I'm sitting on, and I got to take it, then not knowing if the church was just going to up and murder me, be in cahoots with me being murdered, someone walking around the tent like Friday the 13th. And then I just have to take it and not know with this thin material. Then when the bone said that it wasn't him, it was a mysterious car that was on property. I said, well, I need to call the police because I'm telling you, each night I hear someone walking around and I see a flashlight and there's nothing I can do. The bishop says, if you report it to the police, I'm putting you off property. Just call out the blue when my abuser's mad, start an argument. There's nowhere I can go on the planet. At least in this toxic environment, I had access to electricity. But everywhere else, I would have to go struggle for electricity and then struggle to get water. So it was dangerous. So the only places that I had opportunity I had was people that possibly were trying to conspire to take my life. That's where I had to live. And there was no other choices. So after they got the document signed, then they can comfortably scam to get me off property and without giving me any assistance to flee the abuse of this church. So they had people come on property to start arguments with me. So, for example, there was a church service going on, and this church knew that I lived on property. And I went to go get food. And it was earlier that morning, so I went to go get food, and the church started hassling me. And I said, "Oh, I live on property," and I was told that I could get food. So they were trying to start an argument with me, and I was like, "The church service is going. The pastor knows I live on property." So then another church member, I left that argument, and then another church member came to start argument. So I did not know how it looked. They were deliberately, it was part of a smear campaign. They're deliberately their facial expressions, they're trying to make it look like I'm problematic and disrespectful, and I have no clue on what's happening. But on the other end, it does the tricks because you're not supposed to be any wiser. So then that argument didn't work. So then the church says that they are putting me out for recording at a church service. But the church services were really bizarre. For example, then the bishop would get down on his hands and knees and say, "Let's pray," and wouldn't pray for 5 minutes. And it just would be silence. It was like a horror movie. Then they do these weird dances, like rituals. And then it was like weird. And then other parties were doing weird things. So they would panic when I would record because they knew it was bizarre. One minister laid all the way down in a pew. It was like disrespectful to me for these people to do this at church. And I didn't want to be in presence, but they demanded that I live on property. I attended these toxic church services. They'd ask people for prayer, and then whenever I tried to pray, they disrespect me and then exclude me from the prayer. But have you ever seen a minister lay completely flat on a church pew during a service? And I had to attend some insanity like that. Sometimes I'd have 2 or 3 people with those strange stares that I told you about. They just monopolized the whole church service, was staring at me. If I went to the bathroom, people would get up with me to monitor me and get up at the same time. That way they can block my path. So I tried to hurry up before they had an opportunity to exit with me. All available, if they have cameras, available for anyone to see. So the church scam that they were furious with me for recording a church service. So then, nonetheless, I went to the tent and my battery pack and my devices were malfunctioning and had the battery was dead on all devices, and I kept my battery pack charged. Is what all of the devices were malfunctioning, and they cut the power. It was like a horror movie. Well, it was extremely dark in a tent community, in like a forest area, wooded area. Even it was weird, but to express, but nonetheless, it was really, really dark. And they're already familiar that someone has been on church grounds stalking me, and they demanded that I not call the police or foreign car, and they're forcing me to be in pitch black, and all my devices are malfunctioning. Nothing I can do, stuck in the living hell. So this happens the next day.
Because he's controlling all the environments. He knows he has created chaos. None of the ministers are here.
So at a certain time,
There's multiple ministers that have service here.
All ministers come at a particular time, and they're all late.
And created chaos and havoc. So he's wanting to keep me in jeopardy so I can't get help from anyone. There's the pastor, I guess, right there, who's already set up as a bully.
The betrayal of this situation. These people know my life is in jeopardy and just could care less.
He's on the payroll. It makes no sense to keep it.
So the church wasn't initially weird like that. But they got really, it was like a horror movie, indeed. That's why they panicked when they thought I was recording the service. You wouldn't believe what I experienced. So this is a foreigner. So my abuser drops off his own staff to enforce people commit crimes and leave me in his abuse. So listen to this. The cafe. To me, it was so important, a fellowship. All the church members went to the cafe. They excluded me. I wanted so desperately, so desperately. You don't know how important it would have been for me to go to the cafe. It was during COVID. A lot of the restaurants were closed. I was forced into a tent. It would have been priceless for them to let me go, but they excluded. And then they wanted to discuss the cafe and how other parties were going, but I wasn't. Let me let you hear that again.
Well, that's what we did at the cafe at 9:30. Okay, sorry about that.
They did it every week, and I was not permitted to go. I had my own money.
Am I in his way for parking?
So you see all those parking spots? He don't want to park there. He wants to park where I'm
trying
standing.
to park here.
It's not a parking spot over there.
Don't turn the electricity back on?
No.
That's not?
No.
No. I actually asked you if you would promise to leave peacefully today.
Right, but I want to know can I get help? Because I feel for my life, and I sent you text messages. And the whole 2 months I came here to get help, and you guys haven't helped me.
Camera running?
No. I just hold it up because I think the feds are on my phone. So
They slander me, so I have to record. These places blatantly lie on me.
Good morning.
And my phone's going dead, so I just wanted to charge
That's
it.
the one, Bones right here. That's the one that when the lady was trying to hit me with her car, he backed back. She was trying to flee the scene. He backed his car out of a parking spot, forcing her to stay and continue to terrorize me. If he would have stayed parked and not backed out, she would have left. And I would have been able to get her license plate number. Bones backed out and then blamed me for the woman's behavior. He backed out, forcing her to continue to harass me. I guess my abuser wanted to get his money's worth.
No, and I haven't gotten any since I've been here.
No help.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why you guys refuse me to help me get out of domestic abuse?
I've told you and told you. If you want to charge it for a few minutes, you can.
Okay, yeah, so that way...
Don't disturb the service. Please.
I don't
blatantly
know the
lying.
service.
Yes, you do. So,
Okay, well, I just wanted to get out of domestic abuse while I'm getting off
Now
the
watch
property.
this.
I
They
can't
don't block
get out with
paths,
Bones
right?
in the way. Get in.
So what is the purpose if he
Because
can
if
see
I
I'm
fear
getting
my life,
in? What
then
is he
I don't
there
know why you
for?
won't help me get out of abuse. Oh, I do. I have an abuser that's controlling a lot of people. I do have to fear my life. So I can't be safe there because I can't find people that aren't covering for it.
you You gotta move off today.
Huh?
You gotta move out here today.
I'm trying to make arrangements to move, but I don't understand why you guys are so heartless. Because everywhere I go, they're doing the same thing.
And I'm heartless.
Well, I want to get out the
That's
abuse.
the very thing I do not like.
Well, sir, I'm still in abuse. Sir, I want to get out of abuse. I don't want to have to be forced to live on your property and then keep getting put out everywhere. I want to get my own, and I can't because everyone's covering for the abuse.
Zip it.
Yeah, I can't get out of it because they all want me to.
So Heartless is you seeing a poisonous snake, and me communicating there's a poisonous snake. He did at least tell Bones to walk me to the tent after I saw the snake. Bones was mad and went to go get his gun. He wasn't going to get killed with me. That's my life's in jeopardy, not his. If you want me to walk her to her tent, I'm going to get my gun. I'm going to be safe. She's the one that's in danger, not me. So then he goes to get his gun and walks me to the tent. So he's safe in an RV. I'm living in a tent. So nonetheless, the pastor calls me when my abuser's mad. He may have done this like 3 or 4 times. And on my monthly, I'm really weak. And he would call and then say, you got to move our property at the time and violate so I can be in that terror. And nothing happened. And then, so I'd be in that misery of not knowing where I can go because there's only, police had started putting people out of the tent community I lived in by City Square. And I recorded that, but I deleted videos. So they were so crooked, they didn't even want me to live in these tent communities where people had lived for years because I showed up. In fact, there was a person that I volunteered that had a tent city by Austin Street. It was his property, and he let people live on his property. So I stayed there. I remembered that location, and I stayed there. Then the city forced him to do whatever they wanted him to do. Then he said no trespassing, and he put people off his property that he had lived there, let live there for years. And I actually did volunteer work with a group, and he showed me his property and years back. And it was kind of ironic that the same property I did volunteer work at and was affiliated with, I had to live on that same property. And then he closed it down. I can never forget how his face lighted up when he discussed how he let people live on his property, people that potentially don't have other resources, and that probably the city would put them off and do different things, and they were safe there on his property. Now, all of a sudden, when I needed it, I think the city coerced him to shut that down. And then they also, people that had been living in these other areas for years, when I was present, the police repeatedly put people off this property. Another property. So I couldn't live in a tent. It was, getting cold, and it was just terrifying. So I had bought some new, I like Victoria's Secret and things of that sort. So I went to go get some Victoria's Secret, and I was really proud of it. And it was on sale. So nonetheless, this church member says that I stole her lotion. I said, what are you talking? And then, you don't think, but it didn't make sense because how would she know I had the lotion? And I said, what? You stole my lotion. You have my lotion because I had the lotion in a tent. But if common sense would have told me she wasn't supposed to know I had the lotion to begin with. You haven't seen the lotion. But I'm not thinking that way, that people are in cahoots. So she's saying that I stole the lotion. And I said, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, yeah, you have my lotion. We've seen you with the lotion. And I said, I have a receipt for some lotion. And I don't know what possessed me to keep it. But I sure enough showed her the receipt for the lotion. She looked disappointed. And I don't even know how she would think that I stole the lotion. Where would she know? How could I get her lotion? It just didn't make sense, but this is how people accuse me of insanity at the same church. So then I got poisonous snakes. You get put out for begging for help. All kind of weird things at church. Someone throwing water on me, Bones. I tried to avoid him because I knew I was getting terrorized. So I waited till the coast was clear. He was always outside stalking me and out and about. So I waited hours outside of my normal schedule to get up and to get moving around. So when the coast was clear and I didn't see him, I immediately hurried up and rushed like with the lightning fast to get to the microwave and get out coffee and do my thing before I saw Bones. I was drenched with water. Bone was on the roof and his con was, I didn't know that you were down there. And then drenched, I was soaking wet with water. He was I don't he it didn't make sense, but he waited for me to get near the knowing that I needed to eat, waited for me to get near the microwave, and he pretended like he had to do some kind of work on the roof and drenched me soaking wet with water and drenched my food. This is how I had to live. Then it was trip hazards, like traps. And I kept following, and then I recorded it, but I didn't think that people would believe that someone would set up a human trap for someone. So I had to delete it. And then I took inventory that this environment was carefully orchestrated for havoc, and they were creating trip hazards for me. So I went to go do my video diaries here at this location. So this is when I realized that people were setting up trip hazards. I went to go, this is where I lived at Denton County Friends of the Family. And I routinely came and they put a hole, but notice how this grass is. See the grass over the hole, trying to hide it? There's countless people watching me. Well, this was by a school. The Denton County Friends of the Family did not want me showing the environment, so I couldn't show you. But someone deliberately put that hole there so I trip and fall in the area that I frequented to do my video diaries. They wouldn't let me record inside the shelter, knowing you never believe my story that the government is this crooked. I kept falling, so I have to look around. I've even seen trip hazards here. Someone put a cup down. And then I have to take inventory. The cup didn't have an explanation for being there. So if I would have not been paying attention, I would have rolled and fell down. Bananas, all kind of different trip hazards. So there you go. That's what the government does under the radar. This was the date, and I was being monitored recording this.
Yes, I can barely hear you.
That's okay. This is the best
Okay,
I
so
got.
what
You
happens?
could hear me.
So they tried to scam, but they couldn't hear me to get me off speaker. So I called the hotel, Baymont Hotel. Prior to this incident, I had extended my stay at the Baymont Hotel. Nothing happened. I had just bought new food, and I got enough food for days, so I wouldn't have to go through the conflict of how difficult it is for me to get food. I extended my stay. I left. Baymont said that they had it was a glitch and they couldn't extend my stay, and all the rooms were filled, and they threw my food away, and I couldn't go to the room, and they had all my property, and I needed to leave. Nothing happened. I said, okay, I go across the street to another hotel. Best Western tries to scam and put me out and wouldn't give me a working phone. A witness came, then they went ahead and gave me a working phone. Multiple different hotels did this. They knew I was fighting for my life, and they would not give me a phone. And a lot of hotels used that as an alibi to put me out or deny me services after I had paid for rooms. So nonetheless, I thought I had left something at the Baymont. So the Baymont says that I put these napkins that were a trip hazard or fall hazard in front of my own door. I reported to the hotel that a lot of places has tripped me and made me fall, and I did not understand why people would be accomplices to that. That jeopardizes my safety. And this is what the Baymont Hotel said.
So, I think that there's something going on fishy because 2 times I was denied service, and why would I be put on the do not check out list? And I left with not talking to anyone. So, what are they just? I'm sorry.
Either way, ma'am, is there anything that you need from me?
Well, the thing of it is that you said
We don't have. You're not. Basically, if you come back to the property, we will CT you for criminal trespassing. Okay?
right, but why would you do that at the
That's by
Baymont?
the FBI.
Hold on, let me ask the question because you just can't criminal trespass somebody.
Your question, because you're an unwanted guest. Okay?
Well, I don't know why you would criminal trespass me for no reason. I didn't talk to anyone on the way out, and you denied me services twice. So why would you put me on hold all that time and then talk through me? I mean, it's like a pattern.
Your door, and you put them there.
I'm sorry?
We caught on the camera about the napkins in front of your door that you put them there.
I didn't put the napkins there. It's not on.
We have it on video.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Well, no, if you come back.
Okay, well, I guess that I'm done. Each time I try to do something, and then I have to prove something else, and I guess that's part of the fun, knowing that I'll try to fight for my life and defend myself, and I don't even know if this channel's real. It just wears me out. I don't know if it's even beneficial to do this.